finally found some time to come visit you, and I heard you're going to have a membership meeting, and I love going to membership meetings. Don't look when I say that, okay? But you know, when you're the board representative for a church, it's like you try to work in a visit, and I thought this weekend was going to be wonderful, and the fact that we had an occasion, that would make it even better. And then when I got here, I was asked to do the lecture, and I said, oh my. But you know, I was trained by my organist at the home church, Fred Brown. When he and I met 35 years ago, he found out I could sing, okay? And he said, you always have to carry two copies of a song in your purse wherever you go, because if he's asked to play, I have to sing. So I learned that you always carry something with you, and if you're visiting churches, you stick a little lecture in your purse. So instead of being surprised and saying, oh, I can't do that, you know, but we allow Spirit to work with us. And Spirit says, okay, well, why don't you take this little piece with you? So when I was packing, I stuck a little piece in there with me. And just being able to come and visit you is so exciting. You know, coming down to Florida, I think it's unique because in Florida you have such wonderful hot weather, right? Now, I have hot weather in Norfolk, Virginia, but we don't keep the air conditioning quite as cold as you guys do. And I just think that's so wonderful. You come in and you have these nice changes, right? But it is truly a pleasure to be able to come and visit with you. And the fact that I'm here, we're going to have a little later an opportunity for you to ask me any questions you want to. And I'm not sure I can answer them all, but I'll sure try. And if I can't answer them, Patricia probably can. She's been around as long as I have, right? Okay. But you know, when we come together as spiritualists, we come together knowing that we have that wonderful responsibility. And that's one of the things that kept me in the spiritualist religion when I found it. Yes, I love the idea of the universal God energy and the fact that there's no fatherly figure up there that's going to pat me on the head or smack me on the butt, you know. But the fact that there's a universal God energy and that I'm a part of that and that I have a little bit of that in me, that's exciting. But that idea of personal responsibility kept me. That's what kept me in spiritualism. The fact that I knew no one could do it for me, I had to do it myself. Every thought we think, every action, you know, that gives you a little bit of a challenge, doesn't it? I think it gives us a challenge in life. But it's a philosophy. I have a little sign down at the end of my hallway that says, if you believe it, you live it. And so I take those principles very seriously. And so I try to live what I believe. I try to live that idea of being responsible. Now, making the airline reservation is a challenge for me, but I can do that because I know that I'm responsible and I wanted to be here. And so I found out that I could get here and that I could get a hotel room and all that sort of thing. So, you know, it's just a fun opportunity for me, and I hope it is for you. I want to share with you some words from Ralph Marston this morning. Ralph Marston says, life is what you choose. Isn't that a novel idea? We choose who we are and what we're doing. Life is what you choose. The choices you've made have brought you to this point in life. You chose to be here. Now, there are a lot of people who say that we chose before we came in. I'm not quite sure that, you know, I chose this, but anyway, we chose who we wanted to be, what challenges we wanted to deal with when we came into this wonderful place called Earth and inhabit these clay temples that we have. But, you know, when we have chosen this path that we're on, and that's our choices have brought us to this point in life, then what do you choose to do next? And then he gives us this question, what are we going to do next? You know, we have to live in the present because I cannot change a thing from the past. Words I said 5 minutes ago, I can't recall them and change them in any way. Things I did this past week, I cannot recall them. I can't change it. But tomorrow is an opportunity for me to do something that's going to make me feel a little better about who I am and why I'm here on this earth plane. And so in order to do that, then I have to take my opportunities, don't I? So what do I choose to do next? Well, I chose to come down here and have a little fun in Orlando. and just come down and be with some people that I haven't visited for a while. It's probably been 10 years since I've been here. Has it been that long? I don't know. But you know, coming down is something that a lot of people, my people are so excited in my church. I have a church in Norfolk, Virginia, the Memorial Spiritualist Church. And we talk about convention. And I said, well, I'm going to drive to Houston. What do you mean, Houston? And I said, well, that's where the convention is. It's not in Orlando? And I said, no, that's not until next year. Well, I want to go to Orlando. I don't want to go to Houston. And so I'm being faced with that all the time. I don't know how, we only get 6 delegates from my church, and you can have up to 5 proxies. I must have more people that say, I want to go to Orlando. I want to be there. They're just so looking forward to coming to Florida. So realize you're going to have a good turnout for your convention here in 2010. But you have learned many things from the journey that you've taken. This life path that we have chosen, we have learned so much. You know, I owe my being a spiritualist to that same organist, Fred Brown. Way back when I was singing in a Baptist church, you know, one of those. And he said, do you want to go to a real church? And I said, sure. And he took me to a spiritualist church, and I've been there ever since. And so when you have learned all of these things, I learned that when I read those principles for the first time, wow, this is something I can really get my teeth into. This is something I can really believe. This is something that I can live. Because I had a hard time as that little girl, you know, being a Baptist, wondering about God watching me all the time. You know, have I counted up enough time? Have I spent enough time? Have I tithed my time this week? And I was really worried about that. When I found the spiritualist religion, I didn't worry anymore. Because I knew that I was living it every hour of the day, not just what I tithe. I was living it every hour of the day. So you've learned many things from this journey that we're on, because we are walking a path that says, you know, I really want to be a light in this world. I want to be a light in this world. I want other people to look at me and say, what has she got that I don't have? What has she got that I don't have that makes her feel so comfortable with who she is? What does she have? And so when I look at myself and ask myself that question, I say, you know, I've got something I like, I enjoy. And that's one of the things that I like to share, is that sense of joy of being who we are. So the lessons that we've learned on this path that we're on lead us to the point where we are right now. You know, I had a question arise in my mind. I was driving home from, I think it was Milwaukee. I went to the MPI meeting. And I was driving home from Milwaukee, and I was hearing someone on the radio talking about whether we change when we go to the next plane of life. And I said, well, you know, the spiritualists believe that we take our personalities with us to the next plane of expression, right? And so as we take our personalities with us, then I've got a question. Then are we going to different levels? Because when I leave this earth plane, when I kind of rise up out of this body, I'm looking forward to that, but when I kind of rise up out of this body and go to the next plane of expression, and I'm taking who I am with me, am I going to be with all those people who believe like I do? Or am I going to be with my loved ones? Or who am I going to be with? Who am I going to be attracted to? That law of attraction says that I have to be around people of like vibration, doesn't it? Well, you know, there are people